Here you're going to see we're in the Trimble Connect web interface, web.connect.trimble.com. Simply creating a new project by hitting the new button at the top right.
Real quick, can we see the screen? Sorry.
Yes, we can see it. Name the project, this case TBC 2026.1. You're in the North American servers. For most of you, it defaults to your location. It knows where you're at, so it should default to whatever region. Then you've got your licensing down here at the bottom. We have multiple licenses as a dealer, so I'm just showing you. If you do have separate licenses, you can just simply select which one you need. And then we hit submit. That's going to create the project. So you can see up here at the top left, this is the project that you're working in. If you hit that down arrow, you can switch projects. Pause here for a second, Zach.
Let me jump back a little.
No, you're good. So pretty much everybody, I would assume, on the call is familiar somewhat or super familiar with Trimble's software, right? Almost all of it has the 3 lines at the top left, and that's your menus, buttons, things like that. Trimble Connect, it's always on your left side. You don't even have to hit the 3 lines. So here we're just going to simply run through setting up a project, inviting users. This is what we're doing in this workflow. So we're going to start here at project details. If you want to, you can rename the file here. It just shows you the properties of the job. You can verify your licensing at the bottom. If you want to further set your coordinate reference systems, your project locations, you can draw a little boundary on the map. So now we're going to go over to extensions. Can you pause for a second? So file extensions here. This is very, very important when you're using Trimble Connect. You have to enable the field data, which is highlighted here. And if you're sharing scan data, it can be SX10, 12, X7, X9, all the way up to mobile mapping data. You have to enable your reality capture extension for those files to be shared and viewed through Trimble Connect.
And make sure, just real quick, that those are distinctly independent, right? If you're just doing base rover or optical data with no scanning component or reality capture component, there would be no reason to enable that, because I've had some folks get confused on that. Sorry.
Yeah, that's fine. Reality capture is not required to enable if you're not using any sort of LiDAR data, scan data, anything like that. Okay, Zach, continue, please. Okay, so there's the reality capture. We're going to go ahead and turn that on. Pause it again, please. And what you'll see now is you have field data and reality capture just above the cursor there on the left side of the screen. Those will not appear, so it kind of forces you to turn those extensions on because you won't even see them until they're enabled. So just as a side note there. All right, so once extensions are turned on, we can go to our team option. You'll see that I'm the only one here because I created the project. It gives me some information about when and my role. Inviting people to the project, big blue button at the top right. You can type in anybody with a Trimble ID. Again, their login information. Usually it's going to be their email address. And then below that, you can add them to a group of people. So you can group folks into certain compartments or stakeholders. So you set the role, right? So I added Zach. I set him as an administrator for this entire project. He can come in here and manage it just as easily as I can. Pause it again, please.
You want me to step back, Will?
Yeah, if you jump back to that screen, I'm sorry.
Right here?
So, yes. Oh no, that's fine. We can stop here. As you add people, you can also remove them from the project. So if you can see kind of at the top right under invite people to the project, there's 3 little dots there. If Zach, for whatever reason, leaves the project, he moves to another team, he quits and goes somewhere else, whatever, you can actually click on the little checkbox to his name, to the left of his name there, click the 3 dots, and then remove from project. So it's very simple to manage who's part of your team. You can also change the roles. If somebody's in there and they accidentally got set up as an admin and you just want them to be a user, users can go in, view data, they can add data to the project, and they can bring data out of the project is really all they can do. They can't do much more beyond that. So if I accidentally added him as an admin, he goes in there and starts deleting files or something, overwriting files, and I didn't want him to do that, I could simply go in and change him to a user rather than an admin. So just another little side note there. Excuse me.
Yes, sir. And one note on that too is that we're not going to get into this today, but you can do sub permissions, lower level beyond the Connect project level, if you're trying to give certain people certain permissions. We're not going to get into that today, but just want to make sure it's clear. Want me to go ahead and start the video?
Yes, please.
Okay.
So that's basically the Trimble Connect project workflows. Again, very simple. There are tags. You can see it on the left there that you can set up the tags. We'll talk about that here in a little bit. So we're in the, okay.
Sorry, go ahead.
No, you're good.
Get the TVC here.
You're okay. So we don't really highlight it there. So down at the bottom left, you'll see tags. You can go in and set the tags. And the tag, pause it again.
Yes, sir.
Tags can be anywhere from topo, boundary, construction. You know, you can use any tag that you would ever want to create. And what that does is it allows, as you're creating files, if files are coming in, they can be tagged so they can easily be filtered and searched later on.
Yes.
Your field crews, as they're out there, say you got a tree and topo crew. That's what they do every day. They go out, tie trees, shooting boundary or shooting topo shots. Well, they happen to be in an area, there's a property corner there. They're going to go ahead and tie it in rather than your boundary crew having to come all the way over there, right? If they're a good crew, they'll go ahead and tie it in. Well, when they send that file in at the end of the day, they can tag that file and say, hey, there's boundary information in here. So when your files come back into your data processors and your RPLSs and people that need to see that, they can easily filter all those files and say, okay, everything with boundary information within it, these are the files we need to focus on. You're not having to open every file, look through everybody's field books. You know, everything is right there nicely organized for you. So you can just grab those files, go process your data and analyze your boundaries. You know,
That's I highly recommend tags to keep organized, especially because, as we all know, it's very easy to be disorganized with this type of data. So
yeah, big projects. You've been on them. Like I said earlier, I was processing 20 to 25 crews worth of data every day, and I had to go through every line of their field book. I had to go through every shot they ever took in their job files and just verify everything that was in there, which I would do anyway. But it sure would have been helpful down the line on a 600+ mile pipeline with 20 crews every day, you know, to filter through some of that data. So, okay. So we're switching over to the Trimble Business Center workflow now. So we've opened a project. I'm just simply going to go in, set my coordinate system. Here you can see it's just set to default. I'm going to change that again here in Austin at the Austin office, Texas Central 4203. Just always like to go verify my geoid quality and my geoid is correct. Hit OK. And then my process, I go to Project Explorer. I'm sorry, bring in the files. Skip the steps of dragging in just a simple CSV with some control points that we shot out here in the parking lot. Bringing in point northing easting elevation code. It's a control file. I'm going to bring it as control, hit import. Okay, my 5 points that I've used for control, there they are. Now I want to bring in my feature code library into my TVC project because I want to share that as well with my field crew. So now I go to the Project Explorer. I just like to verify that everything imported properly. And clearly you can see your points, but I wanted to see the feature code library is imported. Okay, so we have our project started. We're going to go to the Home tab, and there's this new Create Assignment tool. This is where things get really fun. Very simply click on the Select Project. You can see the project we just created at Trimble Connect. We're going to name the file that we want to send to the crew. Sorry, I think I had a text or a phone call in the middle of typing that, so it slowed me down a second. Description of the file here. These are your assignees. Zach and I are the only 2 people in this project. You don't have to assign one person. You can leave it as is, or if you've got a specific person, you assign it to their TID. They go in and get the file and they go to work. So it gives you the option.
I know Ian said this a couple times, but this is what's brand new in TVC, right? This new Create Assignment is brand new in this version.
Yeah, this is where they've done a really good job of actually further streamlining your data sharing, making it very simple. Tags, if you pause it again, Zach. Right below your assignees, you have the tags, right? So you can tag this file. Hey guys, this is some additional topo that we need to go do, or go do some more boundary searching, or any sort of tag that you want to create. It'll be listed out under that tags option. So very, very simple to tag your files. It goes out to the field crew. They grab a file and they go, oh no, I grabbed the wrong one. This one says topo. I'm out here. I'm supposed to be doing construction staking. So it helps everybody kind of just visually figure out like what's going on with this file. All right, go ahead and play it. So,
and sorry, I skipped ahead. Right? He had already put his cursor in the selected, right? And now is about to select the points.
Yep. So here we're going to just select the data. We click inside the selected box. You can see visibly everything highlights. In my case, it's orange, kind of default Trimble Business Center selection. But you can see 5 points were selected. There's some linked files in here. It even shows you your project location, the file path, if you will, of where things are going. So I hit the create button at the bottom there, and that creates the file. So you come up here and it's this little window that says, okay, your file has been created. So this is connected workspace. If you don't mind, pause it, please. The connected workspace is something that's not brand new to TBC, but it's fairly new. This is we're actually looking inside of our Trimble Connect project. It's not the full-blown version. You can't go in there and manipulate things as easily as you can in the web interface. You can't change coordinate systems. You can't add people or remove people through here. This is just file management at this point. Very, very simple. You can see at the top left there, you have the connected workspace option within TBC in your home tab. So all of your file management is right there in that nice little box in your data exchange menus. Okay, so go ahead and play it again, and you'll see again, we're working within the TBC 2026.10 project at the top. I'm just simply creating a folder within the Trimble Connect project. There's the name of the file down at the bottom. There's your file path at the top, and hit save. So it's created the file, it's sent it to Trimble Connect. Now it's pretty much, it's out there in the cloud. Okay, that's your TBC portion of how this works. So very, very simple workflow. And again, these are small files, and they're just for demonstration purposes. Obviously, you can send terrain models, you can send DXFs, you can send anything that's Trimble related, of course. But it can get much bigger than just a little CSV file and a feature code library. Just we're trying to keep it basic just to show you how easy things are. So anything to add, Zach, before we move on to TA?
No, I think we're good, man. This is flowing and making sense to me.
Okay. All right, so here we are, Trimble Access. You can see at the top right, I've logged in with my TID as the field user. So my little icon is orange, ready to go. There's our project. We created a Trimble Connect and TBC. Simply click on the little cloud with the down arrow to download that. Here's an extra step. I had to type in project height just because of how I created the points.
Yeah, sorry, there you go.
Yeah, so project height there, I was using my Trimble Access emulator on my laptop, and the data I brought in is why I had to type that in. You're not always going to have to do that. So on this screen here, you'll see there's all of our project settings, everything that translated from Connect to TBC to Trimble Access. So there's really not a whole lot of setup here. I do have to go add my feature code library if I want to use it though. That's the one step. So you can see it loaded there. We'll go ahead and hit the next button, next again, and here's there's actually two files in here because I was playing around with it, but the os_control, that's the file we just spit out of TBC. Same thing, hit the little cloud with the down arrow.
Let me go back to that. It kind of jumped on me. Sorry about that. I'll try to pause it so they can, there you go.
That's okay. So you can see it's bringing in job file with an XML file, right? And then cloud version 1. That's where it gets very important for your field crews to see this. This is cloud version number 1, modified by whoever. If they bring in or you send that same file, you append that file and you kick it back out, it's going to go to cloud version 2, 3, 4, so on and so forth. So very nicely, visibly laid out where people can see that they're using the newest stuff. Okay, so it's going to update the map. Here we go. Here's our points within the within Trimble Access. Again, these are GPS coordinate points, so everything is is geo-referenced. So basically what I've done here is I'm just going to emulate that I'm going in to do a very small amount of topo. I take about 4 shots with some line work in between the points. Again, I'm using my emulator on my laptop here in my office. So I'm just typing everything in as opposed to being outside recording this data. So we begin our line, start our line. I'm just doing kind of a break line here in the parking lot between a couple of topo points, just for some data to send back to the office. So we're building lines, we're collecting shots, and we'll just do one more. And I apologize for you hardcore data collectors out there that I did not close my polygon, but saving time is what we're doing. All right, so we're done here. What do we want to do? We want to push this data back to Trimble Connect. Very simple process, 3 lines, go to your job information. Now you see a cloud with an up arrow.
Sorry, it jumped on me again. 1 second.
That's okay.
There we go. So there's the 3 lines on the job. Sorry.
Yep. 3 lines, go to your job information there on the top left, and you'll see the up arrow with the cloud. That simply just says upload this file back to the cloud. It's telling you what it is. Boom, you have a cloud with a check mark. It has been synced back to Trimble Connect. Very simple process. That's Trimble Access. That's the workflow, right? We were all pretty much familiar with that. So here we are back in the Trimble Business Center. I like to, if you can pause it, please.
Yes.
I like to kind of point it out, like, some people, you get a rush job, kind of last second, you've got a real needy client and they just keep nickel and diming you for information. Hey, send your crew out. They're have already been scheduled to go to a site. Oh no, we have to get to this fire job, has to be done today. They don't have to come to the office to get their data, from a thumb drive or plug in their data collector to download data. You don't have to email it to them and cross your fingers that file doesn't get corrupted or lost somewhere, or it's too big. You can't email, it's too big. They're going from job A to job B, and your data technician or your project manager in the office is managing all this. By the time they get there, this file could already be in their collector, open and ready to go for them when they're setting up their equipment. They're ready to go. So same thing, when you're done in the field, me as field crew, I would call my technician and say, hey, I just finished what you guys asked me to do. It's back in Trimble Connect. Hey, can you bring it into TBC real quick? Just view the data before I even pick my equipment up. Because the last thing I want to do is pick it up, drive back to the office, and somebody goes, oh man, we didn't quite get enough. We got to go back again. So little bit of lines of communication go a long way. You're talking about huge time saving.
Yes.
From not having to mobilize over and over, back and forth, just simple phone calls, even a text. Hey, I know you're in a meeting. Can you pull up that TBC project and just import that data? Does it look good before I leave the site?
Yes.
This is the process right now. This is the process of your technician bringing in that file from Trimble Connect back into your TBC project to verify that information. So go ahead, Zach. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to go back to our connected workspace. We see the project we've been working in. You'll see there's a field data option here on the left, and you see the file from the field. Here again, you can see versions of things. You can see who, what dates. I wish there was a timestamp on there. I don't think there is, but at least there's a date on there. And that little 2 is the second version, right? Because we created the file, sent it to the field. Now we're bringing it back in. So that's version 2. And you can see who the user was. The field user was me. And then you just simply click on the 2 little arrows on the right or hit the big blue import button at the top right.
And just one quick thing to point out here, just the Trimble Access logo, right? Quick clue, that's a Trimble Access job. I was actually curious, Ian, on this one. It looks like the old Trimble logo. I was kind of curious about that. They're both job files, I think. So
I believe that's a TBC file.
oh, that's right. Okay.
So
Gotcha.
that symbol is because it was created in TBC. I pushed it over to Trimble Access, but if you notice in Trimble Access, it was still grayed out because I never actually imported it to the data collector.
That's right.
So yeah, some nice visual clues that Trimble has built into this stuff. Okay, so again, click the up and down arrows. That's essentially just your import. You'll see a bit of a progress bar underneath the file. Kind of goes pretty quickly there. Here, obviously, we want to keep the project definition within TBC because we set it up. We know that's correct. That's almost kind of obsolete at this point because we've already told Trimble Access the coordinate systems and units and all those project settings. It's a little bit redundant, but hey, kudos for Trimble team for keeping that in there just in case. But yes, keep the project definition and hit OK. Okay, we can go ahead and close that. You'll see here comes our points. So in TBC, it's not going to import the line work. So we still have to process our feature codes. Simply go to the survey tab, big giant button at the top left where it's always been, process feature codes. There's a process feature codes window. You select the file that just came in from the field and we process our sources. Okay. And there's your line work came in. So guys, to reiterate, there was no real editing. There's not any time that we chopped out of this video. Those processes are really that quick when you kind of get used to it. Again, it's just very small amounts of data that we're trying to push back and forth. But what we're trying to iterate to you guys is it's a very simple workflow, very few steps in each one of these phases to get these files back and forth. So.
And just one comment on the process feature codes. We wanted to show that because that's what's common and good practice, but we realize and understand and appreciate some folks don't use feature code libraries. No harm, no foul, right? That's just a piece you wouldn't do in TBC, right? But the point is like he said, I watched him do this. I've done this myself. It is very simple and there's no barriers to entry likely. And that's what we were talking about licensing in the beginning. You likely have access to this. And so why not use it? There's no catch. There's no added subscription, right? You likely have it with what you have.
Yep. And to let everybody know, we're Altera. We've built a reputation as really good support. We do some really good training. We will work with you on this stuff. This isn't a, hey, here it is and good luck with it. Zach's pulling up a slide again. You'll go to the last slide there, give some people some information, how they can get in touch with us, and alteracentral.com pages, training requests, reach out to your local sales team, reach out to our tech support department. We've got all kinds of avenues to discuss this to help you guys get it set up. Anything, if you're interested in it, and I hope you are, because it really is a super powerful tool for everybody to get across that hump of data exchange. It just expedites everything. And again, your data is 100% safe the minute it hits the cloud. And it's always there until you download it, remove it, clean it up, whatever you want to do.
One other comment here too. Well, we'll get into the Q&A, right? And I meant to draw folks' attentions to the question section. So there should be a box with a question around it at the top of your go-to interface, whether you're using it in a browser or the app. There's also a chat, but we're not really monitoring the chat. So please put any questions you've got, whether it's beyond the scope of this webinar having to do with Connect or per the scope, right? We want to make sure that we answer any and all questions, whether it's now on the webinar or following the webinar. And please, if you could, we're going to be sending a evaluation post webinar so that you can just tell us, whether you liked it, whether it was valuable, and all those types of things. It really helps us kind of gear things based on what you guys need. So with that being said, Billy, I know he's a panelist on the meeting here, and I didn't know if there was any questions that would be worth discussing verbally or no. I know that you had answered a few questions.
We've got one here from Corey Baxley addressed to me. I'll go ahead and take that.
Okay.
So Ian, what are some of the common troubleshooting issues that you get calls about regarding this process? Any things to watch out for? That's a good question. We get a lot of basic phone calls or tech support, I should say, not just me or Zach. There's people have corrupted files quite frequently, and it just happens by nature, just from creating a file, transferring it to a thumb drive. Thumb drive not properly ejected out of your laptop. You hand it off to your field crew. They don't put it in the data collector right away. Their intent is to do it on the way there or when they get to the site. They plug it in, file's corrupted. All right. So now we're scrambling to try to figure out a way to get that file back to the field. Okay, well, it's 12 meg or whatever size file is too big to email. Oh no, now we're having to hand enter coordinates, or there's all kinds of scenarios to that.
Hey, Ian, I've got a couple here. Do you want me just to tee up a few and just that way I can read it off to you?
Sure.
So I've got a good one here. So someone brought up, they want to transition their field crews to a single source of truth by passing a single massive master job file back and forth sequentially through Connect. They use T110s and TS7s and TSC5s. And they haven't pulled the trigger on the workflow because, again, like you mentioned earlier, Ian, based on past experiences, they're worried about the file size and all these things, because it's a combination of DXF, services, reality capture. What might be your thoughts or recommendations on this concern?
Personally, I don't really have not. I've seen too many issues with one big file going around. In the event that somebody has some sort of control of that file in the field, you're not as limited on editing and within Trimble or Trimble Access. Things can get added, things can certainly get removed and deleted or changed, and then you send that file back to Trimble Connect or to the central sharing platform. Somebody else pulls that file down. I'm not a big fan of that, to be quite honest with you. Can it be done? Yes, it can. It can certainly be done.
And to expand on that, he kind of mentioned, what are the best data maintenance routines, and Connect, sync tricks, or data purging strategies. These are all good things, right? And I would argue that the data cleanup and the managing of linked files and not having one big massive file would be helpful. Yeah. And we could talk to you about that strategy. I mean, Ian's been there, done that, and so have I. So we can kind of, that could be a case by case one that you reach out to us on. But that's a very good question, very good concerns, and it tells me that this is why you attended the webinar. So let me kind of step down through a couple of questions. So we had someone ask, is it an app or the web?
Actually, it's kind of both. The web application is going to be your most powerful source to manage your data. There is an app you can put on your phone. And then there's actually a third, we don't really talk about it because it's going away. It's called the Trimble Sync Manager. And a lot of you are probably using it or have used it. It's being phased out. We don't know when. Trimble doesn't really even know when. I think it should be by the end of this year. However, don't let that scare anybody. They're creating other things. There's a replacement, I would call it, called Trimble Mirror. I believe that is to take the place of Sync Manager. And this is kind of beta sort of versions of this stuff right now. So there's not a lot to really talk about other than I do know Sync Manager is going away, sunsetting, as they like to say, but it will be replaced with another version of Sync Manager. So don't be afraid of that. We're just going to have to find some way to transition from Sync Manager to Trimble Mirror or whatever the third application is for file sharing and management is.
Yeah, and the whole web versus app thing, I mean, the way I see it is if I'm a user of Access and TBC, that's going to be what I lead on to push and pull data. But like Ian said, if you want one place to do everything, the website will do that. And the initial creation of the Connect project, it's important to do that in the web because it gives you the ability to do the field data extension, the reality capture extension, invite team members and create folders and such. We had another question. Is there a way to add users to the team in connected workspace?
No,
Yes,
there's not.
but it's not, well, you can add them to the Connect project, but there's no like user control in the connected workspace pane in TBC. Is that what you were thinking they're asking, Ian? I'm thinking that's what they're asking.
No, I'm thinking like adding somebody that, you're inviting them to the project.
It would only be at the project level. Okay. Let me go back here.
Yeah. So
There's several questions. So here we go. Someone said they've got a couple of DA2s. Is there a workflow to import data from TBC to Teraflex? Unfortunately, no. If you want to get with me on an, case by case basis, we can talk about that. I know that this has been a discussion many years ago. As of now, and as far as the roadmap goes, I don't think that will happen. But that's a very good question. Now, there's ways to get Teraflex data in TBC, but not seamlessly through Connect that I'm aware of. That could or couldn't be on the roadmap. We can look to Trimble for that. Another question, biggest hangup we have in our workflow. This person was able to take an existing job from a Windows file folder and drop it into Connect Web Project and able to access it from the field via Trimble Access. Seems like we must be using TBC as the interface for pushing a job to the field. Yes, I mean, you could be doing it a different way if you're not the one doing that, right? Ian, couldn't you technically drag a job into Trimble Connect?
Okay. Yeah, absolutely. You're not restricted to using TBC in this
Correct.
workflow. This is the Trimble environment that we're working within. If you're using TBC or interested in TBC, very, very streamlined workflow. Yes, absolutely. You can open your web browser and go to web.connect.trimble.com, drag and drop files, and download them in the field. Yes.
Yes.
So people that aren't using TBC for data processing, not a problem. This was just for that workflow to be pretty continuous across the whole Trimble environment.
Yeah, matter of fact, we have people that are not Trimble users that use Connect. They may just buy Connect by itself as a cloud platform service. We have a good comment here. I don't think it's really a question. Person says they've been using Connect, completely removed the need for emailing back and forth CSVs, JXLs. They no longer are missing data, no longer waiting on a crew to get back to good service. They're able to work interactively with crews. They upload what they find and they resolve the boundary and send it back. So great comment. Thank you for that.
Yeah, thank you.
Let me go down we got a few more here. We are going to end on time. So any questions we don't address, we will get back to you on. I'm just kind of stepping through here. Okay. I think we've gotten through most of them, but I'm kind of going down. Here we go. Do we need to add field staff / crew members here? So that came from a customer asking while you were doing the video, right?
Yep.
When you were adding the permissions.
Yep.
Or sorry, let me rephrase that. This is when you were doing the assignment in TBC, when you either chose to assign to me or you or nobody.
Yeah. So you don't have to choose anybody. Again, you're going back to the web platform. So within your organization, if you're a small company, even a large company, and you want everybody to have access to every project you create, you can actually import a spreadsheet of all the, everybody in your organization that has a Trimble ID. You have to keep that in mind. So yes, if you want field crews to use it, they have to have a Trimble ID, and you will add people. You don't have to add them as assignees within Trimble Business Center to send a file out. If you notice, we just left it as select. That's basically anybody that's invited to the project can go into Trimble Access and pull that file down.
But you could, like he said, restrict it to one person, maybe, or two people, and the others can't see it. Good question here. Actually, I never thought about this one. Is there a way to get the field data extension to enable by default when a new Trimble Connect project? I don't think you can.
Well, that's the good thing is you can set up one project however you want, and if coordinate systems and all that other stuff. Again, Trimble Connect is huge. It's way bigger than what we touched on today. You can set a project exactly how you like it, folder structures, all that stuff, and you can simply use that as a template for all your future projects. So,
Yes.
to answer your question with the field data extension, I don't know if that template holds that setting, but pretty nice that you open a project created from a template and you have to hit one toggle button to make sure your field data. Again, you're not going to see it on your menu on the left. So visibly, it's like, oh, I need to go turn on my field data extension. So it's
and that field
nice.
data extension, I get the reason why he asked it, because I think we've spoke before, and I think what it was is someone created it right from the fielder office and then forgot to turn that on, and so it was kind of an afterthought. So I guess I could see why that would be a nice default, but Trimble would have to programmatically put that in at the project level, and I don't think they would do that, because the majority of users probably don't use the field data extension across the entire Connect platform. Let me go ahead and go. There's a couple more here. And Ian, let's see. Do you have, okay, so it looks like someone addressed this, but good question. Strategies for archiving or exporting in full old projects. Yes, it's just not, it could look a couple different ways. Let's put it that way. Let's see here. I think that's it. Are you seeing any more when you go through the questions? Okay, here's one more. With Reality Capture and Connect, do you automatically get JXL files into Connect when you drop a job with scans in there?
I think it depends on where you're coming from. If you've got scans coming out of, say, Field Link, you're going to have a TDX file. If you're coming out of Perspective, you're going to have Perspective files. So
I think if you had like an SX, right? Let's say you had an SX12 and it's a dot job from Trimble Access and it has the scans. I think what he's asking is like, will it also create a JXL alongside the job?
I'm not sure. I'll have to look into that.
Yeah, I'm not sure either. But definitely reach out to us, or go through that training request that we're showing here to ask that question, and then we can kind of address that one-on-one. Do you see anything? Oh, here's one that I missed. And we are at a time, but I just want to do this last question and then we'll call it. Is there a way to force a new version of a file to the field? We've been having a lot of issues with crews not using the newest file, and this is with Connect, by the way.
Yes, you send it through. They do get a notification. As I see, there's another question there. Do you feel crew members get a notification about updated file? Yes, you do. While you're in the Trimble Access, they don't get an email going, hey, there's a new file.
But they should be able to see evidence of the new version in Access when looking at that lineup.
Yes.
That row. Okay.
Yes. Yeah, you'll see there is a new version of this file. I believe in this newest version of Access, it automatically updates it or imports it. So
I believe it does.
It's not like it hits their inbox and it's up to them to go grab it, so they just ignore or they don't see that notification. I think it automatically updates it. There's a button within Trimble Access that says auto update.
And there is a way to get a notification. It has to do with the Trimble Connect project settings, and I need to look into that. I've used those in other capacities. But because we're at end of time, I want to be respectful of people's time. We really appreciate you attending this. And, if you guys have any questions, please click on this link, even if it's not a training request, right? Just put it in there so we don't miss anything. I think many of you have our contact info, should be on the webinar. But until next time, appreciate it, Ian. I feel like this was very fruitful.
Yeah, thank you guys. I appreciate everybody. We'll keep going on these questions here. We'll get some stuff answered and some very good questions on this list here. So
and stay tuned, because we're probably going to have another webinar continuing on this topic in some capacity soon.
Sure. Yeah, this is just the beginning of something really big. So we're looking forward to hopefully talking to most, if not all of you again, maybe even more folks. So thank you.
Thank you again. You all have a good rest of your day.